Welcome to another episode of Growth Hacker TV. I'm Bronson Taylor, and today I have Eric Siu with us. Eric, thank you so much for being a part of Growth Hacker TV.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Eric, tell us a little bit about your current role. Where do you work right now, and what do you do for them?
Yeah, so I'm the growth/marketing lead for Treehouse. We are an online technology school, and we teach people how to code, do web design, or how to build web startups.
Yeah, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about them because I think what Treehouse does is a great fit for our audience. If you're trying to learn how to grow, you're probably also interested in learning how to build the products and actually develop the products as well. How long has Treehouse been around?
Yeah, so we've been around since 2010, but we rebranded in about 2011. So our old brand is called Think Vitamin, and now it's Treehouse. But yeah, I mean, for any entrepreneur, I mean, if let's say I'm a marketer and I want to learn how to code and I don't have money to pay people, I can learn enough at Treehouse to build a minimum viable product and then get that prototype out and then maybe send it off to investors or something. So there's a lot you can do with it, a lot of different skills. We had one guy, he came in with no experience, and then within 6 months he was making iPhone apps, and now he's paying off his mortgage, which is kind of crazy. So
yeah, that's incredible. One of the guys that actually worked with me last year, he was a marketer and started taking Treehouse classes to learn how to code, and now he's actually working at a development company out of Tampa. So, I mean, it's incredible how you actually can level up in your skill set through Treehouse. And it seems like Treehouse is everywhere. I mean, when I go to conferences, they have a presence. Everywhere I'm at online, they're talking about them. It seems like you're building a very promising product. It's not a quick thing. It's going to be around for a long time, it seems like.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, we're here to stick around, and we want to build something that eventually we want to branch out just from web technology and try to teach other stuff. But our thing is, if we can give quality and at an affordable price where we don't have to make you sit through 4 years of college and go into like 100 or 200 debt, then we're doing a good job. So
exactly, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about you, because that's why we're all here today. Really, is to talk about your expertise. It seems like a lot of your particular specialization is in SEO. I noticed online that you write for Search Engine Watch and Search Engine Journal. Would you say it's that SEO is your primary skill set?
I would say I started with SEO and then it started branching out, because I think SEO is a good starting point for anyone that wants to get into internet marketing or even startups in general, because SEOs are, quote unquote, scrappy. I hate using that word, but
that's good. It's a startup word. That's what we are.
It is, and with SEO, if you want to really get experience, you make your own website, and it's like, okay, you don't know how to design or have the right theme, so then you just go to WordPress or something. You find something that works for you. Use a different bunch of plugins, and then you find out what works for you. And you might even test some things that are too risky to test for other bigger sites, Yeah. And then eventually when you see stuff working, then it's like, okay, you gain more confidence. It's like, okay, what more can I do? Then you start learning conversion optimization. Then you might consider doing affiliate marketing or something like that. And then it just, your skill set just starts to branch out from there. So that's why SEO is good.
How long have you been doing SEO marketing before you kind of started branching out into other things?
I've been doing SEO for about 3-4 years. But when I started branching out, I would say within 3 to 4 months, I started moving into other stuff like pay-per-click or email, other stuff like that.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering, is how quick it took you to kind of venture out into other things. Do you think that that's a good method for other people, to spend a few months really diving deep into SEO and learning the ins and outs of it, and then using that as a foundation? Do you think it's unique to you, or that's actually a good strategy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say yeah. I mean, but you're going to have to go all out. You're going to be reading, you're going to be testing all night. It's not just a 9 to 5 thing. It's just you're just going hardcore at it the whole time. But I would say, yeah, I mean, start with SEO and then do the other stuff. Because my reason for that is if you start with paid search or something like that, you might end up I don't know, working for an agency or something like that, because you're not going to have a budget to run your own stuff in the beginning, or most people don't. So it's kind of risky to just learn pay-per-click, because you might just get hired by an agency, you're not going to get paid that much, and then they just want to stay there, and you're just kind of stuck, I know a lot of people like that started with pay-per-click, and you're just stuck right now.
It's interesting that Team Treehouse came to you as an SEO kind of guy, at least as your initial offering, because SEO can have somewhat of a negative, kind of connotation in some people's mind. I think it's because there are white hat SEOs and there are black hat SEOs. Do you run into that in the startup world when you tell them, yeah, I write for Search Engine Watch and Search Engine Journal, and yeah, I know a lot about SEO? Do they think, oh, he's one of those guys? What's the reputation like?
Yeah, it sucks because there's
I've hit a nerve, right?
about SEOs and like because there's a lot of I mean I'd say about like 90% of people that say they know SEO probably don't. They're just like pitching something because everyone wants to see organic traffic work. They want to see like quick results, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these shady agencies promising, hey, we'll give you quick results quickly at affordable prices. But the thing is, SEO takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of investment too. Like at Treehouse, we didn't start seeing like our returns on SEO until just like last month, and our traffic just started spiking, right?
Yeah.
And I've been here for about 8 months already, so it took about 6 months of work. So it's a lot of hard work, takes a lot of time, takes money too, and the biggest thing is, our CEO, Brian, he buys into it, right? Because when we look at our traffic numbers, like, our organic traffic, which is the SEO traffic, it converts really well and people are really engaged. So it's like, okay, we know this stuff is working, let's just go all in with it.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to save this question till towards the end, but you kind of already brought up the incredible growth that you guys have experienced lately. So let's dive into that just a little bit, because that's what everyone listening to this wants to know, is how you did that. Like, what specifically did you do at Treehouse to get any kind of hockey stick whatsoever? Growth is very difficult, and anytime we can learn, how somebody did something, and I know that you can't probably give away all the secrets of what you're doing there, but what would you say that some of the main things are that you did with SEO that Ryan is really stoked about right now because of how he's seeing it pay off?
Yeah, so, I would say the first thing, before we even talk about growth, is you got to have a good product, right? So one thing we did was we surveyed our users, like Sean Ellis, who is kind of the growth hacker for Dropbox. He was like, you got to determine if you guys actually have product market fit, right? And the question to ask our audience is, how disappointed would you be if you could no longer use our product, right? And if you can get above 40%, then you know you have something really good. And we got about 70 or 80% of people said they would be really disappointed if Treehouse was no more. So we're like, okay, we have something really good, right? So we're solving the problem. And, going into some tactics, I would say our blog is like a major driver of traffic. In January, we saw like a 30% increase in traffic, and then in February, like another 30%.
Wow.
Yeah,
what kind of things are you posting to the blog? Because now that's the next question people have is, okay, the blog's working. Well, what are you doing with the blog that makes it work?
Yeah, so it's a lot of web design development, or even some startup related content. And what we try to do is we try to figure out, okay, we'll look through our site search, right? What are people looking for on our site? What are they interested in, right? And then we also survey people, and then we'll also ask our teachers as well, like, what do you guys think is interesting to write? So our strategy with content is, we call it 70-20-10. So 70% of it is going to be, our typical how-to or guides or beginner's guides, whatever, right? It's our staple content. 20% is going to be a little riskier. We might try something like controversial, or we might mix it up with like interviews and stuff. 10% is just going to be totally different. Like we might be doing like infographics, or kind of like the interviews that we're doing right now. We're going to take risks with that, right? And that's kind of how our whole marketing strategy works too. But we can dive into that later.
Yeah, absolutely. So something you said is very interesting. You actually use data and metrics to decide even what you're going to blog about. I think that's something that our audience needs to hear, is that you didn't just show up to the blog and think, what is top of mind for Eric? You actually show up to the blog with data in hand, and so you engineer a blog that's made for SEO, not hoping that it does well with SEO. Would that be accurate?
I would say most of it's accurate, but we also have to, a lot of it's based on data, but, a little bit of it is based on gut feeling, because we can't always follow what's going on. Like, we can look at the Google keyword tool, right? And we can see, okay, this keyword's driving a lot of volume, like responsive web design or whatever. But the thing is, like, if you keep following keyword trends, you're going to be behind, because this volume doesn't show up until like a month or two later, right? So we gotta ask our sales team or our customer support team, like, hey, what are questions people are asking, right? And then, obviously ask our teachers, like I said before. But a lot of it has to do with data, but a little bit is gut feeling.
No, that's a really good response. I like that, because I'm always wrestling through personally with how much is gut, how much is data, because I don't want to trust my gut, and yet I do have intuition that turns out to be right sometimes, and finding that balance is really difficult. So I like what you're saying about how it's a mixture of both. Anything else you're doing at Treehouse that's really driving growth beyond the blog, or is the blog kind of the main thing that you're focusing on right now?
The blog is really major. We're doing it we're not looking for sales from the blog, right? We're looking at to, build awareness, to build trust, to build likability, and hopefully people will share it. So the blog is major for us. We've also been playing around with, so we call TeamTreehouse.com our quote-unquote app. Okay. So in the app, we have a lot of video lessons, right? And in the video lessons, what we did was we added a bunch of transcripts to our videos. So search engines can't crawl the video itself, but they can crawl the text, right?
Okay.
So we're getting like, a little icing on the cake. So search engines can crawl that text, and we'll get credit for the long tail traffic, and we'll get more traffic coming in. So
that's very smart. Now let me ask you this: are you hiring and outsourcing the transcription, or are you guys doing that in house? Because if you could outsource it cheap, then that might be a quick way for other people to kind of imitate what Treehouse is doing.
Yeah, it is. It is outsourced, and it's well known in the SEO industry that you should be adding transcripts. So I'm fine with giving it away.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Yep.
No, that's great. I was reading one of your articles that you wrote online, and you talked about some statistics around SEO that were kind of eye-popping, What's one of the statistics that you could give us that would really make somebody listen to this say, yeah, Eric's onto something. I've been ignoring SEO because maybe I've only been exposed to the black hat side of it, that kind of thing. But what's a statistic you could give us that's like, yeah, I need to listen to Eric, and this SEO thing has some legs?
Yeah, so there's this one statistic from that article from Marketing Sherpa where it says content marketing rocks, right? And it said that, the company that did content marketing, like they saw distribution lead to a 2,000% increase in blog traffic and 40% increase in revenue, which is serious numbers, right?
Yeah.
For us, like we saw, since I started about 8 months ago, we saw a 110% increase on our main site and about a 60% increase on our blog.
Since how long ago?
About 8 months.
That's incredible. Give us those statistics one more time. In 8 months, what's the increase for you guys?
Yeah, so 110% increase for our main site and 60% increase for our blog.
And you feel like you can trace that directly back to efforts you've been doing primarily through SEO?
Yeah, most of it I'd say is through SEO, but we have other stuff going on too. You can say PR is kind of like SEO too, but for us, it's like we don't focus on just one initiative, but we try to like lift everything up.
Absolutely. And to circle back a little bit, you talked about the blog quite a bit. In my mind, SEO and content creation is very kind of two sides of the same coin. How much time do you guys actually put into creating that content? Is it someone who's full-time doing it, or is it just the intern putting together a blog post? Do you guys take a lot of time in crafting that content?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we invest a lot of resources in it. So we have about 14 teachers in-house. They all are required to contribute one piece of content a month.
Okay.
That's related to one of their KPIs. And then we also we also outsource too. So we'll look for people that are really good writers and we'll bring them in. And we also have a managing editor that, takes care of the whole process.
Yeah. Do you think that someone else could have equal results if they didn't put in that kind of time? Because a lot of people, they want to play with SEO. They want to play with a blog. They don't really want to put a stake in the sand and say, this is where we're going to build an audience right here. Do you think it's possible to do it half as well as you guys do and still have those kind of results? Or does the content really have to be quality?
I would say so because, even looking at I guess I'm kind of taking a shot at our blog right now, but I would say that the content it could use, a bit of improvement right now. Mm-hmm. And we post about 2 articles a day. We can contrast this to, my friend Neil, who has his own online marketing blog that gets about 150,000 visits a month, and he only writes 1 post a week. That's it.
Wow.
So it takes time, right? And you got to be willing to invest. Like, even after 1 year, your results might not be good, but you just got to stay consistent with it, and you got to write good shit. You can't just half-ass it,
Yeah.
That's the problem. If you're like an eHow or something where you're just half-assing looking for AdSense revenue, that's fine, but then you're going to get torched by Google eventually. So that's another major concern. You've got to write quality now.
Yeah, so talk to us about that, because Panda came out a couple of years ago and completely hosed a number of businesses that weren't creating quality. Is it fair to say that's what happened, that Panda got rid of the content farms and let the real quality rise to the top?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah, they've done a good job of torching, the content farms, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if anyone's tempted to take shortcuts with SEO, Google's smarter than you are, so don't. You have to build quality stuff.
I learned the hard way. I mean, that's part of starting with SEO and testing, right? I had a bunch of my sites torched in the beginning, and I'm like, okay, here's the amount of risk I can take. But yeah, you don't want to take shortcuts. They have the Panda update to weed out thin content, and then they have the new Penguin update where it's you can't just spam links anymore. You can't write the same anchor text anymore. It's just about building a good brand. Brands get rewarded now.
Absolutely, and that's great because brands bring value to the world. SEO alone doesn't. So if the brands get the SEO juice, it's better for everybody. It's better for the internet. It's better for companies. It's better for the users. You talked about how SEO leads to a number of other kind of disciplines. One of the disciplines that comes to my mind right after content creation would be landing pages. I know you also have quite a bit of expertise with landing pages. I've been reading some of your articles online. And what do you think is most important to understand about landing pages in general, or maybe even optimizing them specifically?
Yeah, so I'm going to take another shot at Treehouse right now.
This is good. It's raw. I like it.
Yeah.
We love Treehouse, so it's great,
Yeah, the most important thing with landing pages is you can't make a catch-all landing pages, which is what we have right now. But
explain that to me. What do you mean by that? What's a catch-all landing page for our audience?
So, like, if I want to learn JavaScript, if I want to learn Ruby on Rails, if I want to learn, like, I don't know, Python or something, right? Mm-hmm. The thing right now is we have all our traffic going to the same landing page. It's not like, hey, you can learn Python, or this is why we're good at Ruby or whatever, right? It's just one single page with just, it doesn't tell you anything specific. It's just like, oh, you can learn coding here,
Okay.
But if, the most important thing is to have landing pages that are really topic specific. So it's going to increase your conversion rates. It's going to help with your pay-per-click quality score, which will, decrease your cost when you're advertising.
Okay.
Overall, it's just a better experience across the board, right? If you're looking for Ruby, you want a landing page that tells you about Ruby, why Treehouse is good at Ruby, why you better sign up now, right?
Yeah.
It's just better overall. But for us, we didn't have the resources because, we're a startup and, and resources are really constrained. So we're okay with a catch-all landing page right now, but, we're trying to get people to help us make specific ones.
Yeah. Now, once you have those specific landing pages and you kind of diversify and you have one just for Ruby and one just for JavaScript and whatever else may be out there, what are you going to be looking at when you look at those landing pages? Because you're there to help them grow. And so you're going to be a set of eyes looking at those landing pages saying, we need to get rid of that. We need to add this. We need to change this. Tell us how you see a landing page. Where do your eyes go on it? What do you notice? What do you hate? What do you love? What needs to be there? Help us get inside your head with a landing page.
Sure. So when I look at a landing page, it has to be like really simple, right? There's that book, Don't Make Me Think, and I recommend that to everyone. You should get that book. So yeah, it can't be like super cluttered. It has to be like one very clear call to action, right? You can't just have a landing page just like, okay, what do I do now, right? Mm-hmm. Your headline, when you're doing A/B testing, your headline's super important. You can test, like if you're doing a video, you can test that. You can test your benefits. Your call to action is very important as well. I would look at those. And also, like, try to limit your navigation when it comes to landing page. You don't want like people leaking away.
Explain why that is, because I think it's important to understand.
Yeah. So I mean, if let's say I hit a landing page, like I'm paying for this traffic, right, and then they click to like I don't know, like the about or help page, right?
Okay.
Then it's like, okay, they're not as focused anymore. It's like, okay, you're taking them off the conversion path. You want them to kind of go down the funnel. One thing though, like, let's say, they click through to your plans page, they're about to sign up, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, you don't want to limit navigation because that tends to piss people off. From my experience, that's actually decreased conversion rates.
Okay, now explain it to me a little bit because I didn't quite catch that. When you send them to a client's page, what do you mean by that?
Sorry, the sign up page. So
okay, sign up, gotcha.
Sign up Treehouse, yeah. So you don't want to limit the navigation there because people are going to be like, how come I can't check out something else? Like, I'm looking to buy, I need more information, right? So you don't want to limit that.
All right, so if it's a sign-up page, give them more options. If it's a pure landing page, really put the blinders on and don't let them do much else. What's your take on design for landing pages? Because I've heard both stories. I've heard that well-designed pages do well. I've heard that really ugly pages do well. I've heard that using a grid and making everything line up does well. I've heard that putting things not lining up does well. Does design matter with a landing page, or is it just folklore?
I think it matters. I mean, for us, it really matters because we teach design, right? But if I'm an affiliate marketer, I don't really care. Like, I'm okay with something ugly as long as it converts, right? But I guess it depends on the company. So for Treehouse, yes, it matters. For maybe other people that just want to make money, maybe not.
So maybe it depends on your brand because you need a consistent brand. If they show up to an ugly Treehouse landing page, it's going to hurt you guys, not because landing pages need to be beautiful maybe, but because that's not your brand. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You talked about being resource constrained and not being able to do all of the landing pages that you want to yet. Do you guys use companies like Unbounce or things like that to create landing pages, or are you really adamant about doing those in-house? And is there a benefit to doing them in-house as opposed to using one of those companies that throw them up real quick?
Yeah, so we've used Unbounce before. It's decent, but I think what our designers really want us to do it like in-house, or if it's not in-house, they want to hire like a contractor that they really support.
Okay.
So it's just I guess it's the treehouse process, because once again, like, we teach web design, so we have to stay up to those standards.
No, absolutely. I ran a development company, and I felt the same way. It was always hard to use a third party when I couldn't quite make it do what I wanted to, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so we ended up just creating a lot of our own landing pages. But then it's a resource struggle, so that makes it hard again. What do you see for the future of Treehouse in terms of growth? Because I know in your mind, you've seen some success with SEO. You're seeing the chart go up and to the right with what you're doing there. You know what you want to do with the landing pages and making them more diversified. What's a little bit further out on the horizon as you look at it from a growth point of view?
Yeah, so YouTube's starting to do really well for us. I mean, we have a lot of free content on YouTube. I mean, it just makes sense because YouTube is the second biggest search engine, and we do a lot of video content. So we're doing that.
What kind of video do you put on YouTube?
Yeah, so
are you putting the full courses? You putting just little snippets? Are you putting introduction to the teachers? What really is the content there?
So we have these things called quick tips, where it's like snippets, where it's like, oh, here's like an introduction to HTML, or like here's like a really quick 2-minute tip on something.
All right.
And then we also have a weekly show called the Treehouse Show, where we talk about the latest in web technology. That's free as well. Yeah, those two are those two are like the main offerings right now.
Yeah.
In the future, we're gonna try to focus it a little more. So maybe on Monday we might have courses on JavaScript, Tuesday Ruby, and then Wednesday, I don't know, web design or something like that.
Yeah, and you said something really interesting there, that YouTube is the second biggest search engine. I don't think people realize that. They think about Bing, they think about Yahoo, or I don't know if Yahoo's in the discussion anymore, but they don't think about YouTube. And YouTube really is the biggest search engine outside of Google itself. And so to have content on there is going to become more and more important. And it makes sense for you guys because you already have those courses that you can take snippets out of. You already have all the setup to record things. Would you recommend that other people without your setup try to do YouTube? Or is it really hard to get to pay off because of producing video is difficult? What would you think? If you were in a different setting, would you care about YouTube?
I would say everyone should be trying YouTube. So I guess we can kind of dive into our marketing philosophy right now. So
please.
The way how it works is like we spend 80% of our budget on things that are working already, but 20% goes into things that we've never tried before, right? So I would say for other companies, like if you don't think YouTube's going to work for you, give it a shot. You never know until you really test it, right?
Yeah. For
us, it's like, okay, we tried YouTube at the beginning, it didn't work. We came back around and started working, right? So you never know. Just always be testing, invalidate like whatever assumptions you have. Just let the data speak.
Absolutely. You talk about the data. What are you using to track the data? I'm always interested to see what people use. Are you using just Google Analytics? Are you using Kissmetrics? What do you go to kind of get the data? Or is it in-house stuff that you're looking at?
Yeah, so it's all of the above.
Okay.
I mean, we have in-house data. Google Analytics, we use that a lot. Or I use it a lot. And then we have Mixpanel and we have Kissmetrics, so we have two of those competitors. And we're also looking at we have other tools as well. So a lot of tools.
Do you find it hard to understand the data when it's in so many different kind of buckets? You have something over here with Kissmetrics that you need to look at, something else in Google Analytics. Just me personally, I find it hard sometimes to kind of make it all work together and figure out what that means for this over here. Do you have that problem, or is it just me?
I think after you look at it, I mean, as long as the data, it seems like everything's consistent, then I think you're good. But yeah, I mean, it might be like I've been just looking at numbers for such a long time that it seems okay to me. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're just used to that world. It doesn't bother you at all that there's 4 or 5 different tabs open to figure out your metrics.
Yeah, I mean, I only look at it like a few times a day, so.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, you're doing it full time, so I guess if you can't get your head around the numbers, then nobody can.
Yeah.
Well, growth hacking has kind of rose in popularity over the last year and a half, but really in the last 6 months, I think, it's become more and more popular. Why do you think people are all of a sudden looking to people like you, Eric, and saying, hey, you have something really special, come work for us? Why the sudden increase in popularity for growth hackers?
I think it's a few things. Like, everyone looks at, you see TechCrunch, it's like, oh, Airbnb, bam, hockey stick, right? Pinterest, hockey stick, whatever, at Dropbox, whatever. It's like, growth is a pretty sexy thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
growth hacker is like a new buzzword, right? To me, it's just like it's just internet marketing,
Mm-hmm.
or with a little, you might have like a dev come in, mess around with APIs and stuff, and pull out a few tricks. But to me, it's just it's modern marketing, and everyone needs that to grow their business, right? So
Yeah.
I think every startup is starting to look for that now. It's like, oh, okay, we have something. We need growth hackers. So
Yeah. No,
it's something
absolutely. And so many people, they can build things, they can design things, but then they realize that distribution and getting users is an extremely difficult task. I've built I don't know how many products, and at some point I said, if I don't learn how to market, I don't need to build any more products because this is completely useless. And so then I started turning my energy onto understanding how the flow of users work on the internet, and then all of a sudden I could build things that worked. So I think you're absolutely right. People, they realize they need it, and they're seeing the popularity of other people, and they're coming to people like you. So if someone's trying to break into this industry, they want to become a growth hacker or internet marketer, the way you describe it, a modern marketer. And I like that because it really is just modern marketing. You're going to use tech, you're going to use APIs, but really it's marketing with an understanding of the technological landscape around us right now. If someone's trying to break into that industry, you said earlier you think SEO is a good foundation. What else would you tell them as advice that they need to go and focus on or think about or read or do or follow? Like, what should they be spending their time? What kind of content should they be consuming so that they can kind of level up and be where Eric's at someday?
Yeah, I mean, SEO is a good starting point, but you don't necessarily have to start there. I would just say you need to read a shitload, right? You might read like Andrew Chen's blog, who's he's one of the growth hackers. There's Sean Ellis. He has a great blog. I think it's called Startup Growth or something. But you read voraciously at the beginning, and then you start testing a lot. So that's why I'm saying SEO is good, right? Because you're going to make your own website. You're going to test. And then, be scrappy. Like, just keep going. It's going to be hard in the beginning. You're going to be like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Like, this stuff isn't working, right?
Yeah.
But once you get the experience and things start working, it's like, okay, you have the confidence, then you just keep moving, and it starts to snowball from there. But it's really cliche, but just work hard.
Yeah, work hard. Try stuff. See what happens. Absolutely. Do you think they should try stuff on their own, or should they go and try to be an intern somewhere and learn from someone else? How do you think would be the best way to kind of break into this industry?
Yeah, so I actually started my internet marketing background with the internship. And
Was that valuable for you?
Yeah, it was super valuable. I mean, they had me make my own website. They had me test a bunch of things, and I learned a bunch of different things. Even if it's unpaid, like if you have a full-time job right now, which is what I had, I'll do my full-time job, maybe get in there. I'll try to get in a little earlier, maybe get in at like 5 in the morning, and then I get to leave at 2, right? Then I go to my internship after, and then from that point, like I'll just start learning until, I don't know, like 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. So it's a lot of work, but it pays.
No, I think that's great. And if you're not willing to take an unpaid internship, it probably is going to be very difficult to call yourself a growth hacker or an internet marketer because you got to show a level of scrappiness, like you said, to do that skill set at all. So you show that by being willing to do those kinds of things. What would you look for in an intern? What kind of email could somebody send you, or what kind of thing could somebody do to really get your attention, Eric, if you were looking for an intern? Because maybe you're not, but this will help them know what to send to people as they're trying to break in like that.
It's funny, like, because I have a bit of a sales background too, so I would say be persistent. Like, you're like, okay, if I'm completely brand new, right, I can reach out and say, hey, Eric, I want to learn internet marketing or whatever. And this is funny. I actually have a mentor who I just kept emailing, and he eventually responded, right? So keep emailing, and then eventually they'll respond to you because they'll see you as the person that doesn't give up. They'll be like, okay, maybe I should respond to this person. Depends. Like, I think this applies to everything. Like, if you're doing sales, if you're looking for an internship or a job or anything, like, just keep going at it until they tell you to fuck off. Like, you're good.
Yeah, I'm actually reading a book right now called The Ultimate Sales Machine, and one of the things he teaches is that when he's hiring a sales guy, he tells them that he doesn't want them, they're useless, they're no good, and if they come back again, he knows they have what it takes maybe to be a salesman because that's what they're going to face every day out in the real world. And same thing with growth hacking. If you don't show persistence, even with your internship, you're not going to show persistence when SEO doesn't pay off in a week, or when the landing page doesn't get optimized in 14 days. You're going to give up and go to the next new shiny thing, and you won't really love the data, dive in deep, be persistent, and keep at it like you're saying. So I think your advice is right on point with those kind of things. Any parting thoughts for our audience before we get off here, Eric? It's been an incredible interview. Any final words of wisdom for everybody listening to this?
Yeah, there's this one good quote from Mark Cuban where he says, "Every no brings you closer to a yes." So I mean, as long as you keep that in mind, I think you'll be good. I mean, if I can do it, I think anyone can do it. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Eric. It's been incredible, and thanks for your transparency and really showing us kind of what you're doing with Treehouse. And much success to you. I think Treehouse is going to be awesome, and I think having you on the team is a great value add.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, take it easy.